What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Inter Miami. I'm your host, Andre Fernandez, joined as always by our Inter Miami beat writer, Michelle Kaufman, as we head into the final match day of the regular season. Plenty to talk about as usual. Been a pretty, eventful FIFA window for Inter Miami. We have another notable player on this team announcing his retirement. Jordi Alba decided to call it a career. He was honored last week after the Atlanta game. We'll talk a little bit about that. Miami obviously coming up with a big victory, 4-0, clobbered the overmatched Atlanta United to pick up some valuable 3 points. And we'll talk a little bit about an interesting development with Lionel Messi, who sat out for Argentina in that game against Venezuela in order to play in this very consequential game for Inter Miami. And not only played, but delivered 2 goals, an assist, helped in that victory. And now we'll be able, as of this recording, which you're going to be hearing after the fact, was able to play for Argentina in their matchup against Puerto Rico on Tuesday night. We'll dive into the interesting choice that doesn't always happen when you don't always pick club over country, but Messi did in this case, and how much it helped the team as they head into their regular season finale at Nashville. And we'll look at kind of where Inter Miami stands right now, guaranteed at least the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, and where the outlook looks for them as far as who they may face in the postseason. And so we'll dive into all of that, but let's start with just another one of the big 4, the big 5, whatever we're calling it now, decides to call it a career, Michelle, and then he was honored as he deservedly so was honored after the game on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was, I came as we did last week's podcast, that news was breaking that Jordi was going to call it quits. And, that was a big surprise. Obviously, Sergio Busquets was a little bit more expected. Jordi had just signed a contract extension in May and is playing very well, clearly. He had scored 2 goals the week before. This week, he scored another goal against Atlanta, provided an assist for Messi. The connection between the two of them is still strong as ever on the field. They're telepathic. But he just said that he decided he had a change of heart after signing that contract extension, and he's done. He just said he's done, and he has another project in his hometown, L'Hospitalet. It's his hometown in Spain. He started this actually in April. He announced in April that he and some other friends of his, former players, were helping to sort of raise the profile of their hometown club, invest time and expertise into that club and try to get it, in a stronger position in Spain. So he's going to move back to Barcelona, as is Busquets is also moving back to Barcelona. But Busquets is going to pursue a coaching career after he says, a 1-year hiatus. He wants to pursue a coaching career, whereas Jordi Alba says he's not interested in a coaching career. He wants to be involved in the front office of his hometown club, and that he just felt it was time. He wants to spend more time with his kids. He has 3 very small children, and he said he already feels that he's missing stuff, that he's already missing time with them being a soccer player. So let's hear from him himself. This is from the ceremony. They had a tribute to him after the game against Atlanta where he did score. Let's hear what he had to say.
Bueno, lo que mejor me llevo, más allá de los títulos y los equipos que he jugado, que para mí han sido los mejores, los compañeros, las experiencias que he vivido a lo largo de mi carrera, y un partido que he tenido muchos muy buenos, o sea que no podría decirte uno, pero todos los buenos que he jugado, pues lo repetiría, pero como no puede pasar eso otra vez, pues me quedo con lo bueno, con lo no tan bueno, y la verdad que para estar orgulloso después de aquel niño que soñaba una vez ser futbolista, pues todos los sueños que he podido cumplir han sido espectaculares.
Jordi, cuando lo anunciaste en redes sociales, te metió en un problema Messi, dijo, ¿y ahora quién me la va a dar?
Bueno, veremos el Inter a quién ficha y ya está, pero Leo al final me tiene mucho cariño, hemos compartido muchos momentos juntos, como él dice, y ha dicho en infinidad de ocasiones, tanto dentro como fuera, y es el cariño que me tiene, sé que nos entendemos muy bien en el terreno de juego, Leo se las generará solas para poder meter gol y ya está, ¿no? Pero bueno, ha sido jugar con el mejor jugador de la historia, ha sido único y además pues esa conexión que tenemos ha sido especial, ¿no?
Jordi, ¿qué planes tenés ahora en el futuro? ¿Qué te encontraremos haciendo?
Bueno, lo que tengo claro que bueno, entrenador no, nunca se sabe, a lo mejor en un futuro lejano puede ser, pero no me veo, sinceramente, y luego, bueno, ahora tengo un proyecto espectacular de mi ciudad, como es Hospitalet, donde está Tiago y bueno, creo que podemos hacer al Hospitalet aún más grande de lo que es y bueno, con muchas ganas de empezar en el día a día, es algo que ya tengo, que no voy a estar en mi casa mirando el techo, o sea que bueno, a partir de ahí creo que bueno, tendré muchas posibilidades de trabajar de lo que quiera y bueno, soy una persona que ha intentado pues, ser el mejor jugando a fútbol e intentaré ser el mejor en lo que haga, ¿no? Pero todo relacionado con el fútbol, obviamente, y oportunidades que saldrán, pero en el presente pues estar en el Hospitalet, ¿no?
Jordi, con este nivel y este golazo, ¿no te da ganas de seguir un poquito más?
Bueno, al final, obviamente, ¿no? Por números estoy jugando bien, estoy haciendo bien las cosas, pero es una decisión meditada. Obviamente me da pena, pero lo hago con total convicción y felicidad, ¿no? De todo lo que he conseguido, de compartir mi historia con la gente que lo he compartido y la verdad que muy, muy feliz todo, ¿no? La verdad que contento.
¿Qué fue lo que te hizo hacer el clic de decir adiós?
Bueno, esto es una decisión meditada, como digo, y poco a poco, ¿no? Bueno, vas pensando las cosas, no viene por una razón o de un día para otro, sino que ya llevo tiempo meditándolo. Creo que ahora voy a tener tiempo también para estar con mi familia, que llevo mucho tiempo sin estar con ellos, que me estoy perdiendo muchas cosas, como todos los futbolistas o todos los deportistas que estamos mucho tiempo fuera de casa. Y bueno, ahora mi prioridad es la familia, estar con ellos, obviamente trabajar en el día a día, pero pues yo tener mis horarios y bueno, mi prioridad, como he dicho antes, es mi familia y aprovechar todos los momentos que pueda con ellos.
So yeah, to summarize there, Jordi is saying, he said again that he had a very special connection with Messi. It's something he'll always remember, this great connection they had. He was asked after that incredible golazo that you just scored, does it make you maybe want to stick around a little longer? And he said, no. He said, this is something I've thought about for a long time. It's not a decision that was made overnight. I was thinking about it for quite some time. Yes, by my stats and everything else, I am playing well. But this is something that I've contemplated, that I've thought about. I'm very happy and content with this decision. He said that, he's not going to be just staring at the ceiling. He has this plan already with Hospitalet, which is his hometown team, to grow that team, to grow that club. And he's really excited about that project. And also, he said his main priority right now is his family, that he has kids. And like all soccer players and like all professional athletes, he said he has had to sacrifice a lot of time away from his kids. And that is his priority now, is to spend time with his family and to work on this project in his hometown. So, it's another loss. Jordi, it's going to be a different look team, obviously, next year without Jordi, without Boosie. Javier Mascherano was asked, because he played with him, obviously, at Barcelona, is Jordi Alba the best left back that you've ever played with? Here's what Javier Mascherano had to say about that question.
Creo que sí, a ver, claramente es el mejor lateral izquierdo con el que he jugado, no tengo ninguna duda de eso. He tenido la posibilidad de jugar con muy buenos jugadores en esa posición, pero Jordi ha tenido la capacidad de ser más que un lateral izquierdo. Y como le dije después que terminó el partido, ha sido un privilegio para mí, tanto a él como a Uzi, poder volver a reunirme con ellos después de 7 años, poder volver a vivir el día a día y bueno, lamentablemente me toca a mí quizás ser el último entrenador que o se van en el momento que yo soy entrenador. Me da un poco de nostalgia eso, pero sí, claramente, creo de los que he visto, de lo que me ha tocado, ha sido de los mejores, seguramente. Ahí se escucha, mirá. Seguramente de los laterales españoles también. Creo que ha sido de lo mejor de la historia.
So yes, he said without a doubt, Jordi Alba's the best left back I've ever played with. And he said, I've played with a lot of really good ones, but he said Jordi is more than just a left back. And we all have talked about it numerous times that he's not just a defender in the back on the left side. He is so involved in the attack. He has 14 assists this season, which is second only to Messi with 18, which is crazy because he is, he's not officially an attacking player, but he is very much an attacking player. He plays really helps both sides. And he said, that it's been a privilege after 7 years to be able to work day to day with Boosie and with Jordi, and that it's really been a privilege, and that it kind of makes him a little sad that he's going to be their final coach, that both of them are retiring with him as the coach. We're not going to blame you, Masha. We won't blame you for it, but both of these legends are retiring with
on your
Mascherano as the
watch.
coach.
Yeah.
On your watch. And he said he feels a little nostalgic, a little weird about that. But he said that it was a privilege, and that definitely Jordi Alba was the best left back that he's ever played. And then Mascherano earlier was asked also, everyone has been talking about this retirement because it was such a big surprise. And he was asked, were you surprised? Were you surprised by the news that Jordi was going to retire? This is what he had to say.
No, creo que obviamente, lo dije en el caso de Jordi, es lo mismo que Uzi, ¿no? Creo que el Inter Miami con la corta historia que tiene se ha dado el lujo de tener jugadores únicos e irrepetibles y bueno, creo que eso es un privilegio. Hay muchos clubes en el mundo con mucha más historia o con una larga historia que no han podido tener esta clase de jugadores y bueno, el Inter ha tenido muchos, ni hablar de Leo, en este último corto plazo. Después creo que no es su legado no tiene que ver solamente con su última etapa, creo que tiene que ver con toda su carrera y bueno, ha tenido una carrera magnífica, ¿no? En mi caso he podido compartir con él 6 años de compañero en el Barcelona, jugando muy cerquita, yo detrás de él, y lo he disfrutado mucho.
¿Te sorprendió, Javier? ¿Sospechabas? ¿Lo veías desmotivado?
No, es que no está desmotivado, todo lo contrario.
¿Pero te sorprendió? ¿Te lo esperabas?
Bueno, a ver, uno va hablando a veces y va olfateando cosas, pero, digamos, siempre sorprende, sobre todo cuando un jugador está en plenitud, digamos, él está en plenitud, no es que, digamos, vas a los números, la cantidad de partidos que juega al año, tiene muy pocas lesiones, pero bueno, también están las decisiones personales, es decir, me quiero retirar de esta manera, no hace falta llegar a una etapa de mi vida donde tenga que lesionarme mucho o ya no tenga tanta continuidad para tomar la decisión. Son decisiones, cada uno lo vive a su manera. Lo importante, te vuelvo a repetir, es que él lo hace, digamos, de una manera muy natural, está totalmente convencido y que obviamente que él sabe que podría jugar 1 o 2 años más, pero bueno, no quiere. Es decir, quiere retirarse y quiere empezar otro tipo de vida y es totalmente aceptable.
He said, look, first of all, he was asked about his legacy and all that, and he said that Inter Miami has been privileged to have these types of players. He said so many clubs around the world, and MLS and around the world, have been around a lot longer than Inter Miami and have never had the privilege of having this caliber of player on their roster. So he said, that's Inter Miami's been very lucky to even have them for the short period that they had. He said, and then he was asked, were you surprised? Did he seem unmotivated? Were there any clues? And he said, oh, he's definitely not unmotivated. He said, quite the opposite. He said, but, yeah, in conversations, you do pick up on things and so on. And it is always surprising when it's a player who's at their peak who is retiring. And he said, Jordi is at his peak. He said he has very few injuries. It's not that he's injured all the time or that he's missing games or that his level has dropped. He said he's playing very well. He's at his peak, but retirement is a personal decision. He said it's very personal. Everyone does it their own way. And he said, look, he knows that he could play 1 or 2 more years. He knows that, but He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to play anymore. He wants to retire. He said, he's totally convinced he wants to retire. He wants to begin a different stage of life. And that's that. And that's totally acceptable. So adios to Jordi, adios to Boosie. It's going to be a new look. We get them for a few more weeks here with Inter Miami, and they've both decided to move on.
Yeah, decided to move on. But one legend that has not decided to move on yet, luckily for Inter Miami, is that the guy wearing number 10, who really stepped up for his club, because he trained all week with Argentina, but then said, you know what, guys, it's a friendly. We'll take a step back. We got a little more to play for on Saturday, and he did, and stepped up big time. Got the brace, got the assist. And now Miami finds itself locked in at least for the 3 seed in the East, like we mentioned before. That clinched that spot at the very least, but with a chance to still move up to number 2. They need a little help. Cincinnati would have to either lose or tie their game against, I believe it's Montreal this weekend in the final week. And obviously Miami has to now go to Nashville and face a pretty good Nashville team and win that game, of course, to be able to continue to move up and get to that number 2 spot. But even if they don't, a big result there for Miami, and it just shows you that Messi, does care about this team. Does he does step up when he has to.
He cares about this team. He
wants to make this run.
He cares about this team. He also cares about the Golden Boot. Let's not forget. Let's forget
which he's a couple. I mean,
he's now leading. He's now leading by 2. He's leading by 2. He now has one.
Dennis Bouanga from LAFC was the next highest, but he didn't score against Boston on Sunday, I believe. He did not score.
Well, he didn't score because he's on national team.
He's on national team duty. That's right. That's right.
Don't think that. Look, Lionel Messi and Mascherano even said it in the press conference that Messi doesn't need anything to add to his legacy. To be honest, he's done everything. He's won everything. He's the GOAT. He's, you name it. He doesn't need the MLS Golden Boot. But if the MLS Golden Boot is within his sight and within reach, he is going to do everything he can to win it. He is extremely competitive. And Mascherano had said earlier this season in an interview about Messi that he finds ways to motivate himself, even though he's won everything. He finds little things, and I'm not saying this is little, but it's not. It's a big award, but he finds ways to motivate himself, even though he has won every trophy and every award and every accolade.
It's like Michael Jordan, when Michael Jordan used to, basically piss himself off, look for little things to piss himself off.
Exactly. Look, he does that. He finds little things, and especially, let's not forget, and I'm not saying he doesn't care about his club. He does care about his club. It was a big game for Inter Miami. The Argentina-Venezuela game was a friendly. And then 24 hours later was a really important game for Inter Miami. And he knew that, okay? Right. So he definitely was choosing to play in a more important game for the club. But also, from a personal level, he had not scored in 3 consecutive games, okay? And in that gap of not scoring 3 consecutive games, Dennis Bouanga of LAFC had caught him. They were tied at 24. Tied at 24 goals. Not only that, Bouanga said, after tying them and getting to that point, he said, I've now reached Messi. I'm now tied with Messi, and I am going to do everything I can to win it for my son and for my country.
There you go.
That's all that Leo needed to hear. Leo is extremely competitive. And you know what? Leo said,
that was
I don't know. You're going to talk
spark.
to what? Yep. He knew that Bouanga is with Gabon, with the national team. And so he knew that he's going to be gone. Messi also was with his national team, but one of them was in Africa and was not going to be able to play for his club. So guess what? Messi also realizes, hey, we're playing against Atlanta. Atlanta is one of the worst teams in the league, and they're missing 10 players. They were missing their best players for national team duty. So not only was Atlanta a team that had struggled this year, but they were missing their best players. It was a golden opportunity to gain some ground in the Golden Boot, a golden opportunity to gain some ground in the Golden Boot Award. I'm just saying, on the side. And guess what? He does that. He scores 2 goals and has an assist with, by the way, if Messi and Bouanga were to end up tied with the same number of goals at the end of the season, they go by assists for who wins it. And I mean, Messi obliterates that. He's got 18 assists, and Bouanga, I think, has 7.
Messi's
So Messi is
tied
now,
right now. Tied right now for the league lead in assists with 18 with Anders Dreyer of San Diego. So yeah, he's way ahead.
yeah,
on
which
that
is really
part.
remarkable. I mean, he's Leo Messi's not only leading the Golden Boot, but he's tied for the lead with assists. So he is really having a great season for Inter Miami this year. There's no question. Last year, I remember some people thought maybe maybe Luis Suarez deserves team MVP. Is Messi really the MVP when he's missed 2.5 months? This year, there's no question. He is the MVP of this team. He leads the league in goals with 26. He's tied for the league in assists with 18. And so by playing in this game Saturday, he really helped his club, and on a personal level, got himself back in a groove, scores 2 goals, gets another assist, is now on top of all the lists in MLS. So all around, a really good night for Inter Miami and for Lionel Messi. Let's hear what Javier Mascherano had to say about this win.
Bueno, Javier, buenas noches. Felicidades. Si nos puedes decir en detalle cómo fue la decisión de Leo de jugar esta noche aquí, qué fueron las conversaciones que en las últimas 24 horas, si nos puedes decir eso, y entonces la importancia de esta victoria. Gracias.
Bueno, muchas gracias por las felicitaciones. No, bastante sencillo. Ayer, antes del partido, hablé con Scaloni y me dijo que no lo iba a utilizar, lo iba a desafectar. Hablé con Leo para que pudiera jugar hoy. No hay mucho más. No tenía intención de ponerlo ayer, quería ver otras cosas, como dijo el entrenador, fue una decisión de él. Y bueno, claramente vimos la oportunidad de que al no jugar ayer contra Venezuela podíamos utilizarlo. Claramente Leo también estaba predispuesto a hacerlo, más allá de haber entrenado toda la semana con la selección. Sabemos que es un jugador totalmente especial, es único, y para nosotros claramente, más allá de no haber entrenado con nosotros, bueno, ya vimos lo que hizo hoy. Así que nos ha ayudado a ganar, ha conseguido anotar, que para él también era importante. Y la victoria claramente es importante porque nos asegura el tercer lugar, y bueno, ahora con esperanzas de poder presionar un poco a Cincinnati a ver si puede tener un traspié y nosotros aprovecharlo el fin de semana que viene.
Okay, so I think Javier Mascherano, he's always been very honest with us. He really has. He's very transparent. In this case, I find it hard to believe that this decision just came up on Friday, that Scaloni just decided on Friday, I'm not going to use Leo. You're free to use him. I'll release him. And Javier Mascherano says, wow, this is amazing. What a surprise. I'm going to get to use Leo Messi for the game on Saturday. I don't really think that that's how it went. I think they had to say that. They wanted to sell tickets for the Argentina-Venezuela game. He was all over the billboards. The minute that they say Messi's not playing, the ticket sales would have plummeted. There are a lot of things at play here. There are a lot of things at play here. I find it hard to believe that this wasn't Leo's plan all along, that, he trained with the national team all week. But at the end of the day, when he thought about it, the Inter Miami game was really important for multiple reasons, as we said before. And Mascherano said, it was important for him to score. That was important for him. And also for us, it was a very important win because we're able to secure third place. Now we want to put some pressure on Cincinnati. We may be able to move up even higher. And he said, I asked him, what exactly went into this decision? Can you please tell us the conversations in the last 24 hours? What was, he said, no, it's very simple. Scaloni told me on Friday that they weren't going to use him, and so that he was free to play. I spoke to Leo. He was willing to play for us, and he's a very special player, obviously very unique player. Even though he didn't train with us the entire week, we saw what he did. He doesn't even need to practice with the team. He can just
Yeah,
pop up on game day and have 2 goals and an assist. He said, we see what he did, having not even practiced with us all week. So in any case, it all worked out. And then he returned to the national team on Sunday night and was due to play for them. Scaloni had already announced on Monday night that Messi would play on Tuesday night against Puerto Rico, a game that had been moved from Chicago to Fort Lauderdale. So he was going to play for the Argentine national team Tuesday night against Puerto Rico, but he got to fulfill an important responsibility, really, with Inter Miami, because the team was in a position where playoff seedings are at stake, the Golden Boot, a little side thing also at stake. Now the team's in third place and he's in first place with a 2-goal lead over Buanga going into the final game. So it all worked out.
If there's anybody that can literally roll out of bed and have 3 goal contributions, it's him. So I think, yeah, I'm with you on my cynical brain is always thinking like everything's planned far in advance. And even if it was, hey, I mean, that's fine. Look what happened. It worked out. I mean,
who can blame him? I mean, who can blame him? It would not have
more
made
meaningful
sense.
of the two.
It would not have. I know he loves Argentina. He loves Argentina. There's no question. He almost always picks club, country over club.
Even this game,
in
this game on Tuesday against Puerto Rico, really, it means exactly what it meant on Friday. It's still a friendly, but he wants to play for country.
It's still a friendly.
It's just the one that conveniently lands in a more convenient spot on the schedule for him to do it. If this was a World Cup qualifier, sorry, Inter Miami.
No,
you're SOL at that point. But
exactly. But in this case, it was. In this case, I don't know. I don't think anyone would argue the decision, except maybe people who bought tickets for the Friday night game. But he was there. He was in a suite. He was watching in a suite with his family, so he was in the building. But I don't think you can blame him or Mascherano for wanting him to play, or Scaloni for saying, "Look, let's come on. This is a friendly. Go play. This is an important game for your club." And he has it. Scaloni has a good relationship with Mascherano. I mean, more than half the team is from Argentina. Let's face it. There's a very strong Argentine influence on Inter Miami. So the Argentine national coach is not going to screw over a team that's full of Argentine players. But the main thing is Messi wanted to play. Messi is going to play where he wants to play. He's Messi.
Exactly.
He's Messi. He's the best in the world. He has earned the right to play whatever games he wants to play. And nobody can question him. Nobody can question him.
And it was the pivotal game for this team as far as playoff seeding.
Game.
Because now whether they get 2 or whether they stay at 3 is not as big of a deal as that they lost that game on Saturday and then slipped down to like 5 or 6 or something like that. And then
exactly. It was in a very important game versus a friendly that was not important at all. Yeah. So it was the right decision. I absolutely feel it was the right decision.
And now you face a Nashville team that we've said is pretty good and slots into that 3-6 matchup too. So we're looking at a potentiality here where this could just be the first of 3, maybe even 4 consecutive meetings since the first round is a 2 out of 3 format. So kind of an interesting, and then Sam Surridge, who we've been talking so much about Buanga, Sam Surridge, 3 goals behind Messi on that Golden Boot race too. So I'm sure he'd want to stiff arm him, make sure he stays where he's at. On the
it would be pretty tough for him. I thought about Sam Surridge, but even if he were to somehow get a hat trick against Miami on Saturday, even if he were to get a hat trick against
Messi
Miami,
would have to not score.
But not only that. Well, no, even if he doesn't score, if they end up tied, right?
Oh, the assist part.
If they end up tied, the assist part. So Sam
that's where he's got the tiebreaker.
He has the tiebreaker by a lot. He's the leading goal with 18 assists. So there's no way really that Buanga or Surridge are going to pass him if they have the same number of goals.
No, it just creates an intriguing matchup if it does happen in the first round of the playoffs, where you have 2 of the best scorers in MLS scoring off against each other. If it happens,
and with Miami's defense always being a little bit leaky, let's admit it, they're a little bit leaky. And so against a player like Sam Surridge, he could do some damage.
Right. And we're not saying that this is locked in either, because here's the irony of this. If they beat Nashville, it's good for them and all that. Fine. They could sneak Orlando City in the back door there and get them into the 6th spot. And I don't know if necessarily that's a good thing with the history they've had the last couple of years with Orlando City, the way Orlando City has been able to play. I mean, yes, I know the last time Miami finally got over the hump and finally beat them, but this is still the rival. This is still a dangerous team. I'm not saying not bring it on and have an amazing 2 out of 3 with it, which would be super heated if it was Inter Miami and Orlando in the playoffs. But the irony is that Miami might facilitate this by beating Nashville if they do. And then Orlando City, only 1 point behind Nashville right now, could sneak right up into that 6th spot. So, and the Chicago Fire, who the last time dropped 5 goals on them, is sitting there at number 8 in striking distance. So either one of those teams can move up if Miami beats Nashville on Saturday to try to improve their own seed. Or what if Miami gets
maybe it's not good to get the number 2 seed. Maybe you're better at the number 3 seed.
Even at the 3 seed. No, but that's what I'm saying. Even at 3, it still could happen because Nashville could slip down to 7 or 8, and one of these two could move right up because Miami indirectly helps these teams move up.
Right. Yeah, and honestly,
so
Chicago, neither one of those are teams. Neither one, as we said the other day, the East is pretty stacked and it's much more even. There's a lot more parity in the East. I mean, to be honest, the top 8, 9 teams are all there are a lot of very good teams sitting there at number 7 and number 8. Where the West is really 4 teams and then a bit of a drop. Here on the East side, there are a lot of good teams in the lower playoff positions. And the thing with Orlando too is Miami's trying, with home field advantage. When you're playing against Orlando, you're losing some of the home field advantage because that's a 4-hour drive. People can drive right down. There would be a lot of Orlando fans if it's a playoff game against Orlando and Miami has home field advantage. But if Orlando is the opponent, that is not as much, still an advantage, not as much of a home field advantage as if they're playing a team from out of state. So I don't think they would want to face Orlando. And Chicago, what Chicago just did to them with Greg Berhalter figuring out a way to not only stop Messi, but destroy their defense.
Prompted a change.
Not a team.
Prompted a change at keeper. Rocco's been starting since.
Rocco has been starting since that game, which nobody suspected that. That was not a one-off. He ended up starting again against Atlanta. So, Chicago and Orlando are very dangerous teams that they could both of those could be first round opponents. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting what happens with this team coming up in the next few weeks.
It is the stacked East. You were right. It is top 9 because if you look at the gap between the 9th spot, the final spot to get in even to that wild card round to 10, it was 8 points. So it shows you the clear division. The top 9 was up here and then everyone else in the East below that. So yeah, it's a stacked postseason and looking like again, we don't even know what that 8-9 matchup could be. Chicago, like we said, right now could move up. Orlando could fall down there. Nashville could fall down there. Even New York City FC, if they have a massive slip up this weekend, who knows how that could move the seeding around. And Miami did beat them 4-0 the last time they played. So in theory, maybe a little more favorable matchup if that happened. But there's all sorts of what ifs and permutations still floating around going into that final match day this weekend at Nashville. So that'll be fun. But let's before we close it up, I know, Michelle, you wanted to talk a little bit about the under-20 World Cup so far.
Yeah, I did want to just two players with Inter Miami ties having an outstanding under-20 World Cup. We'll start with Ben Hakramashi, who is he's officially with the team. He's on loan with Parma in Italy. But he goes to Italy and then almost immediately goes to the U20 World Cup. He's the captain of the U.S. team. Captain of the U.S. team gets a hat trick in his first game. And then the other day in the quarterfinals, he scores 2 goals. Scores 2 goals against Italy. In a 3-0 win against Italy, he scored 2 goals, and then they ended up losing. Well, they lost in the quarterfinals. Excuse me, they lost in the quarterfinals to Morocco. But so it was the round of 16, I guess, before. But anyway, Ben was at this point was the Golden Boot leader in the under-20 World Cup. The local Key Biscayne kid from Inter Miami, going to Parma and really lighting it up in the Under-20 World Cup. The U.S. ended up losing to Morocco, but still had a very good run. They made it to the quarterfinals. And then the other one is Matteo Silvetti. We barely know him because he just joined the team with Inter Miami, and almost immediately, 2 weeks later, again went to the Argentina Under-20 World Cup team. But he scored the other day. He's been a key player for the Argentina Under-20s, and they are playing on Wednesday. They're playing in the semifinal. So it's, he's having a really good, again, Inter Miami player. We barely know him, but he is on the roster and he'll be back. He'll be back at the end of the Under-20 World Cup. So showing that he is a very, very promising player. He has helped lead Argentina to the semifinal of the Under-20 World Cup.
Well, it's like we said before, those are the types of players that this franchise needs to continue to develop and continue to build for its future. Once the superstars, we've already seen, obviously Boosie and Jordi are calling it a career, but at some point we know Messi will too. Those are the kids that they need to have to continue to develop to make this the homegrown team.
Yeah, and I just think letting Benha go, I don't know. I mean, he's on loan over there, and I know he wanted to test how he would do in Europe and all that, but it could end up being a big loss for Inter Miami, because that is a player who clearly has learned so much from all these guys around him, that he's gone now and become the captain of the U.S. national team for the Under-20s. He is potentially a U.S. national team star in the making. And, Inter Miami had an opportunity for him to stay here and to be the hometown kid who plays for Inter Miami, who's a huge favorite. His jersey was in the top 20 in the MLS for jerseys sold. And this is a guy who wasn't even starting for Inter Miami, and his jersey was one of the top 20 selling jerseys. He's very popular player with the fans, popular with the teenage girls also. He's a cute guy. And now he's captain of the Under-20 team, and who knows what his future is going to be. And I wonder if maybe he should have stayed with Inter Miami. I just think that may be a loss.
It's got a cool nickname too, Benha. I don't know. It's kind of like it sounds like a cool soccer player nickname you'd hear. It looks good on the back of a jersey. So
yes,
you could sell that right there. Don't even put Kremaski anymore. Just put Benha.
Benha.
That's it.
So it's interesting. But I just wanted to throw in the U20 World Cup is going on. It's a great tournament. It's a chance to see the younger players. It's going on in Chile. They're in the semifinal rounds right now, and it's a good chance to see some of the younger players who are playing at big clubs around the world and in MLS, and kind of seeing them up against the other top talent around the world.
That's the Academy Makos. Proud of Benha for sure for doing what he's doing, I'm sure, and good to see definitely. It was good to see good for everybody to see us, and we appreciate you seeing us on YouTube, MiamiHerald.com. As always, we'll be back next week with another episode of Inside Inter Miami to recap kind of what went down at Nashville, and to let you know, to talk a little bit about who is the first round playoff opponent. Is it Nashville? Are we in for a Nashville series, or did something crazy happen and we've got the state rivalry or something else entirely? But we'll be back to talk about it next week. For Michelle Kaufman, I'm Andre Fernandez. Thank you as always for watching Inside Inter Miami. Enjoy the games, everybody.